Good morning, YouTubers. And it is quite a good morning actually. It's been raining for the last 48 hours. Remnants of a hurricane that's been in the Caribbean, and there's another one on its way soon. I'll get the tail end of that and all. I think there's one after that. Today I'm going to make a clip about a limestone wharf. I've made one already, which is up on YouTube, about one of the limestone wharfs on the Llangollen Canal. And there's 3 limestone wharfs, the remains of them. It's all industrial archaeology really, social history as well perhaps. There's 3 on this section of the Llangollen Canal near Llangollen, which I've made a video already, which I just mentioned, and I'm going to make a second video now, and in due course there'll be a third. But this one is a bit more interesting for me because it was the longest surviving limestone wharf on the canal, and it was pure luck that this limestone wharf survived longer than the rest. The limestone wharf's longest canal were pretty much finished by 1900 because the railways were quite advanced then, and they took all the trade off the canals, and there was a good export off this canal with limestone. There's a big limestone escarpment up there, and when this canal section opened in 1808 it was heavily quarried, and the limestone was brought down to the canal side here, exported out of the area on horse-drawn boats, and then the railways came and they took all the trade. But this particular company that was operating on this patch, which I'm going to make the film about, they were fortunate because although the railways killed the canals, this one carried on trading for about another 35 years beyond its neighbours. A railway line came up the Dee Valley here, and it's right in front of me here behind the camera. It was closed to passengers in 1968, and the last goods train ran in 71, and the track was gone by 74. But when they built this railway line right alongside the wharf, this particular one arranged for a siding to come off the main line just about 50 yards away, and I'm stood on top of it now, and this siding came into this field behind me, and they were able to carry on exporting limestone out the area, as I say, for over 30 years, longer than its nearest neighbour, which shut down because they were reliant on horse-drawn boats. And this only happened because of pure luck. The railway just happened to be here, geographically well placed. And I'm going to make this video clip about this particular wharf. It's a little bit more interesting than the others because of this extended lifetime. So I'll take you from the canal side and up the incline where the limestone came down on a little tram line from the quarry, and obviously I'll take you into the quarry as part of the film. So I'll crack on, and we'll see what there is to see. This is the section of the Llangollen Canal that interests us at the moment, and this is near Brynn Howell. Brynn Howell is the other side of the embankment there. It started out life as a private house, and then eventually had an extension added to it and became a hotel. But this ugly construction here is the old railway bridge, and the railway line came down there through those trees over there, along there, and then it parallels the canal all the way to Llangollen, which is about 2.5 miles from here, the outskirts of the town. But this field here is the one that interests us at the moment. Now, I was stood there just before, but if you can see there's a bank, and that bank is a railway siding. It goes up there and joins the railway line. This siding here acquired the name of Wright's siding, and I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe it's named after someone called Wright, but information's pretty sparse. But you can see how this incline goes here, and over there is where, across the field there, is where the limestone would have been loaded onto the train. There was a little turning area at the end, so a little engine could shunt from one end to the other and turn itself round. And so this embankment runs behind this hawthorn tree here and behind this sycamore, and then drops down into the field. And we'll go over there in a minute and have a look. You can see there how the bank comes down and merges with the field there, and it goes down there and ends up between those two, zoom in a bit, hawthorn trees, the larger one on the left there and the smaller one on the right. Now behind those hawthorn trees there is a drop in the ground, and there's a main road over there. There's a tunnel under that road now, and the gully there goes right up into the trees there, and then the incline swung to the left a little bit, and down that gully was the incline with the little carts on, where the little carts of limestone were brought down on a cable to the canal side originally, and then later years onto a train, just roughly where those hawthorn trees are. That's looking back towards that sycamore tree. You can see the incline just to the left of it making its way towards the railway embankment, and disappears into the trees there. All this field here would have been a hive of industrial activity. Quite different to what we see today. In the old days, the edge of the canal, the edge of the bank rather, would have been like a lot lower towards the water. There's bits of concrete here, and the vegetation's up a bit, but there's the remains of all stonework and concrete and stuff. This pipe's a modern thing, it's a water main. You can see here there's remains of workings. All overgrown now. I'll have a better look at this from the canal side, but on the towpath side, I'll go over there in a bit. All this would have been up to the bridge there. Quite different to what it is now. You can probably hear that there's a stream running down here now, and that gully, the incline that the limestone came down, it has been turned into a stream. Which runs under the canal, and just there is an old sluice, so they could have drained a section of the canal into this gully as well. There's all sorts of concrete structures here, bits and pieces. This all dates back to, let's say, the 1930s. Very, very overgrown. Concrete here. Quite treacherous underfoot actually. It's an old structure of some sort, built in a dry stone wall fashion. I suspect there would have been a little tram line on top of this, and to give it a bit of height, and then it would have been easier to load onto the trucks being pulled by the trains. On the canal side, of course, you'd have tipped it straight onto the boats. That's a bit more of the incline gully. Zoom in there. And it went over there and under the road. You can probably hear odd bits of traffic on the road. That's a slightly better view of the entire field. Just zoom in again on the embankment. Just to the left of that sycamore tree that disappears into the trees on the old railway embankment there. That's just the top of that raised bit with the dry stone wall support. And again down to this gully. As I say, a little tram line came down here and the carts were lowered on steel cables. A bit more stonework there supporting this bit of bank I'm on now. Yeah, it's actually the same bank as I stood on just before. A bit of it's eroded out there, but it's actually the same one. And this is the road here, and this is the more modern tunnel of where the incline would have passed under the road. In those days the road would have been little more than a car track. Through these nettles. There you go. This is a modern affair, of course, but I'll be going through this and then up the incline and then eventually up to the quarry. You can see down there. You can see the way this is being built up there. There's stonework there, and again on the opposite side, stonework there. Just as a little aside, there's a lot of badgers on this field. And you can see that run through the grass there, heading towards that gully. They've been ploughing this up, looking for worms and slugs. And there's the track heading back, roughly where I'm going. This is where the siding meets the railway embankment. The railway embankment's there, and the siding here is about level with the top of the embankment. There's a caravan park up there. That's on the bed of a worked out quarry, which will feature in another video. Some of the limestone from there did come down this incline. This is the railway embankment, and there's a canal down there, crosses over, canal over there, and all behind those trees there is the field we've just been on. There's those hawthorn trees there, where the incline was. A lot of brambles and nettles here, all overgrown. Right. Again, this is the railway embankment. This bit belongs to the Brynn Howell Hotel, which is amongst the trees there. It's just roughly where that pile of logs is there, is where the incline came up out of the field, the railway embankment. And it joins the line roughly where that, where are we? Large object is. As I say, this railway line kept this little limestone wharf going for a good 3 decades after the Sunbank one, which I filmed earlier, closed, and another one I've yet to film a bit further along the canal, that closed. So they made a lot of money out of this. This is the Brynn Howell Hotel now. Brynn Howell, Howell's Hill is that part. That's the original house. And of course you've got the obligatory wall garden. And this garden would have come down to the canal side. That's the original fence there. You can see the way it's grown into the trees there. Same there too. That bit there's a folly. A little bit further. This is all concreted now because the canal's a drinking water supply, and it's because it runs along the side of the valley here, it's prone to breaching out, so it's all been concreted now at its most vulnerable points. See that rather ugly looking extension there? It's outrageous really, but I'm pretty certain some planning officer somewhere was bribed to allow that to happen. No one in the right mind would have passed that. Certainly not in keeping with the local environment. Yeah, it's starting to rain now. This is the original boathouse. Bit dilapidated now. In the old days there would have been a boat in there. It would have been bobbing about in the water. The water would have gone into there, and a horse would have pulled that boat in that direction towards Llangollen, or in that direction there towards Chirk, Trevor and Chirk, to get supplies, as the roads were pretty rubbish. But that's the Brynn Howell Hotel. That was actually built before the railway line came, and when the railway line came it ran right alongside it, so I bet they weren't too pleased about that at the time. If I just sort of zoom in there, beyond that folly, see a bit of light in the background, that's the field just beyond the siding where it meets the main line. Back on the towpath now, and that's the railway bridge there, and there's that embankment there right in the middle of the screen, and it goes behind that. There's a wild rose there and a hawthorn, a larger one, goes along behind this sycamore and graduates down into the field towards those trees over there. Just in the distance there, there's a boat moored there on the canal, but you can see that water pipe that I mentioned earlier. So we'll just move along the towpath to that spot, and you'll be able to see some remains of the bank side construction. Would have retained the bank and that where they were loading the boats. This is the Brynn Howell Hotel now. Brynn Howell, Howell's Hill is that part. That's the original house, and of course you've got the obligatory wall garden, and this garden would have come down to the canal side. That's the original fence there. You can see the way it's grown into the trees there. Same there too. That bit there's a folly. A little bit further. This is all concreted now because the canal's a drinking water supply, and it's because it runs along the side of the valley here, it's prone to breaching out, so it's all been concreted now at its most vulnerable points. See that rather ugly looking extension there? It's outrageous really, but I'm pretty certain some planning officer somewhere was bribed to allow that to happen. No one in the right mind would have passed that. Certainly not in keeping with the local environment. Yeah, it's starting to rain now. This is the original boathouse. A bit dilapidated now. In the old days there would have been a boat in there. It would have been bobbing about in the water. The water would have gone into there, and a horse would have pulled that boat in that direction towards Llangollen, or in that direction there towards Chirk, Trevor and Chirk, to get supplies, as the roads were pretty rubbish. But that's the Brynn Howell Hotel. That was actually built before the railway line came, and when the railway line came it ran right alongside it, so I bet they weren't too pleased about that at the time. If I just sort of zoom in there, beyond that folly, see a bit of light in the background, that's the field just beyond the siding where it meets the main line. Nature's reclaimed the bank there, but all along here would have been quite bare of vegetation. There would have been a lot of activity here. All this field here hides a lot of history up beneath it. And most people would never realise that underneath that grass there is hardcore, laid down for a bed of a railway line, standard gauge. And just looking at that scrub, most people will just walk past it and don't think twice about it. Right, you can see there's some concrete and some dressed stone there. This entire field would have been bare of grass, and it would have been stacked up with little carts and wheels that would have come down the incline. They would have stored them on this field, and there would have been mounds of limestone, various grades. That's it. Let me see, zoom in there, just below the water line there. The water's quite clear today. You can see dressed stone there. It goes along all this section. There's concrete up there, but that's where are we? There. That's a modern affair just to reinforce the bank where that gully went under with the stream. But, there's all sorts of stuff here. People just take it for granted. Absolutely no idea what went on here. Again, right underneath this water mains pipe, you can see concrete there. That bit there is actually a rotten piece of wood, shorting up the bank there. And again, you can zoom in there, the water's clear enough. You can see the remains of dressed stone where the bank would have been reinforced when operations were in full swing. And that's where I was earlier, on the top of that bank with a bit of a dry stone wall, retaining wall type thing there. So next step now is to go up the gully. Across the road there is the culvert where the little tram line ran, which brought the carts down the hillside from the quarry. Zoom in a bit there. That's where I was looking into the culvert earlier, and if I bring the camera across here, you can see the other end there. If I look up there, you can see the gully up there. That sycamore tree has almost definitely grown since the gully was abandoned. in the 1930s. It's clearly in the way. Zooming in there, you can see where it's being artificially banked. I'll just go down here. This is the other side of that pipe. The culvert's under the road. Little struggle through. This culvert's used as a drain now off the hillside. Stream at the bottom of the gully, which we heard earlier, and that stream goes under the canal, which is about 50 yards in front of the camera now. There's that wall bank we saw earlier. See the original wall there that was used to bank up the gully. It'll collapse now, of course. There. The livestock will probably eroded this bank, a lot of it. See up there where the sheep and the cows come down, and they walk over there and onto the next bit of grass. This bit is probably more recent. That's certainly original stone there. You see this debris in the gully here. That's a mixture of stones that were lying on the side of the gully and stuff that's fully been washed down over the years. But I'll be proceeding up there in a little bit. Heading up towards the quarry. Just found a bit of coal there. The mechanisms for winding down these carts down the hillside eventually came to be steam powered, and a lot of coal was imported to fuel that. I suspect this piece of coal is down the middle of nowhere here was part of a consignment that would have ended up in the quarry by the winding gear, and this piece has found its way down here, a few hundred yards yet from the quarry. A bit of history there. And there's a dead sheep down there, so for this guy, well, be a she. There's a few pair of sheep bones down there, so leave that one here. Just zoom in on that what looks like a bit of a tunnel bit off the line of the gully, so I'm just wondering if it might be a bit of a lime kiln. Let's have a quick look. Aye, as I thought, this is an old lime kiln. See in the back there, just about where the would have been a chimney. I'm not going to climb on top, but zoom in there. The top of it has collapsed in a bit, but there would have been a flue there. A few more bits and pieces here. Down there's the gully, and over there across the road is the field where I was in earlier, and there's a lot of trees nowhere at the moment, but the canal's over there. And where are we? Yeah, those chimneys there is Brynn Howell house, now a hotel, Brynn Howell Hotel, and just in front of it, that line of trees there, is the railway embankment, and that siding went into that field and joined the main line over there. This is T Canal caravan site, and the caravan site today is on the bed of a quarry that was worked out, and the stone was taken down the hillside to the canal a few hundred yards away. Just where that telegraph pole is there, just below it is the lime kiln. And this gateway here is the boundary of the caravan park today. I'll just look down there. The main road's down there, and the canal is just a few yards beyond the road at that point down there. In the trees over there is where the gully goes down. Up this lane here is where the tramway would have come down, and this leads to a small quarry up ahead of me, where I'll go in a few minutes and show where that was. That was the first quarry to be worked, and say the stone came down here and then was turned round and taken down the gully down there towards the canal. Then this quarry started getting used here, and the far end of the quarry was actually worked by another tram line, plateway, that went down through T Canal Farm, where the Brynn Howell Hotel is on the canal, about a quarter of a mile beyond this limestone wharf. But that'll be the subject of another video, as that also included a small quarry in Trevor Hall Woods, about 500 yards beyond the furthest building you can see in this this image here. And those trees up there somewhere. So I'll just go up to this little quarry now and see what there is to see. part of this path is an alternative route along the Offa's Dyke long distance footpath. I'll just zoom out a little bit there, and just behind this tree, the top there, I'll zoom in a bit better, just up there going up that bank is a path which eventually leads to the main Offa's Dyke path, which I know, which goes to Trevor Hall Woods. It goes down here, the track bends round and goes up. There is actually a property up there, that's why this bit of road is tarmacked. As I say, I've just come up this lane here. The tramway went down this lane. This is where this path just bends up there. It's this alternative route on the Offa's Dyke path. But this is the start of the quarry workings. The tramway went up towards that sycamore tree over there. So we'll just wander over there. The sun's shining nice on this now, so the footage should come out okay. It's been a bit bleak earlier. This is the entrance to the quarry. As you can see, there's still a bit of a cliff wall there, and it's quite high over there. We'll go and have a closer look. A few sheep in here tonight, probably quite sheltered for them. I imagine this is where the tram line came out of the actual quarry hole. There might have been several actually, all sorts of intersecting, and then all going to one there, then out that way to where that lime kiln is, that area, and then down the gully. Just as a pan round. Where I'm stood at the moment, I'm probably 50 yards to 100 yards away from the wall there, and where I'm stood would have been a cliff at one time, and it's all being worked out back to that wall there. It's teasel there. One of my favourite plants. Another one there. And another one there. Someone's got beehives down there. You see, there's the quarry wall there. Goes round. Sheep heading this way. Big blob of rock there just left, like a pinnacle. Oh, the sheep are scarpering through the trees here. So this is the quarry that fed the Limestone Wharf. which was on a field which eventually became known as Wright siding, referring to the branch line that came off the main line and allowed the quarry to continue working and export limestone out of the area once the trains had killed off all the other limestone wharfs where the product was carried by canal boat, horse drawn, and in later years even with engines in. They still couldn't compete against the trains. It's quite a hole. All of it seemingly was carried out on canal boat, and a bit of Canal quarry a bit further down. I don't actually have a name for this quarry. It might very well be another part of Canal in name. I'm not too sure. The information is very, very scant. So other than a few clues in the odd book and references online, I pretty much had to piece this together myself. It's quite well marked in the landscape if you look for it, so you can build up a pretty good picture just from that alone. So time to head back down the lane.